Warning. The following videotape contains explicit material on the religion of the UFO Eye Knight. This is an elite religion not everyone can be a part of. Only the truly worthy who are willing to join a dogmatic cult with a complex code of moral and ethical behavior need listen on. Any unauthorized personnel, anyone not seriously considering a career as a UFO Eye Knight, or otherwise listening with impure or unworthy purpose, does so at their peril. Assassination by psionic mind pressure disruption of the autonomic nervous system cannot be ruled out as a possible consequence. The following are the holy tenets of the religion of the UFO Eye Knight. The UFO Eye Knight's home must be a UFO Eye Knight's dojo. It must suit the UFO Eye Knight's quest in form and function. The UFO Eye Knight will find that he prefers black and gray to all other colors for home decor. Where possible, he will use Velcro to adhere objects to surfaces. He will prefer functional, futuristic, idiosyncratic objects and denounce and reject normal styles. The UFO Eye Knight must be a vegetarian. The UFO Eye Knight should avoid tobacco, caffeine, sugar foods, and mixed drinks. The UFO Eye Knight will use drugs where necessary, but not use them where they are unnecessary, for example, recreationally. The UFO Eye Knight will defend all worthy things in peril. The UFO Eye Knight will be ready at a moment's notice for special quests and missions as needed. The UFO Eye Knight will be kind and generous to all animal, people, and aliens, except dogs, really annoying or disgusting people, women who wear expensive clothes, men who wear Porsche brand or other macho brand sunglasses, excessively foreign-looking people, small, sneaky, or unusual-looking aliens, people in the fur business, people who look at you like they want to start something, enemy agents, hostile government officials, or military personnel, Puerto Ricans named Angel or Jesus, people who smell or have bad habits, anyone or anything that tries to fuck with you or your religion. If it becomes necessary for the UFO Eye Knight to kill someone, this should be done in a dramatic, symbolic way that will teach the victim a lesson. The UFO Eye Knight should, where possible, make assassinations by using psionic mind pressure disruption of the autonomic nervous system of the victim. Handguns should be used only if this proves ineffective. The UFO Eye Knight should renounce all worldly goods except cool-looking, high-tech things and other necessary objects. The UFO Eye Knight will not believe what he is told except what he is told on this videotape. The UFO Eye Knight will seek consciousness above all and will not be deterred from this search nor allow anyone or anything to compromise that quest. And I must stress that this is religion specifically for those people who want to follow the path of consciousness. The UFO Eye Knight will not use deadly force except in the necessary defense of worthy living things in peril. The UFO Eye Knight will hold the consumer culture in contempt and view anything on TV with cynicism and detachment. The UFO Eye Knight is androgynous in spirit, if not in physical form, and will seek higher levels of spiritual and psychological androgyny, without paying excessive attention to the physical levels. The UFO Eye Knight must freely generate love and be capable of deep symmetrical relationships, but must avoid excessive falling in love, being possessive of others, projecting too much power or mystery on someone else, putting up with too much bullshit, lending money. The UFO Eye Knight will record, pay attention to, and study his dreams. The UFO Eye Knight will avoid overdoing it. The UFO Eye Knight will strive for balance in everything. The UFO Eye Knight will avoid excessively apocalyptic, existentialist, or fatalistic or deterministic thinking. The UFO Eye Knight will not take on airs, become too serious, or walk around with a concerned look all the time. The UFO Eye Knight will do strenuous aerobic exercise on a daily basis and maintain a high level of conditioning. The UFO Eye Knight will not pay excessive attention to Ralph Macchio. The UFO Eye Knight will be neat and clean, but not excessively fastidious in his personal attire and dojo. The UFO Eye Knight should travel with survival equipment, and I cannot emphasize this too much, and be ready, prepared, and equipped for all contingencies. When in an urban environment, the UFO Eye Knight will prefer gray and black attire, will carry a special bag with special herbal survival equipment, as for example I have right here, my personal bag, just to give you an example of the sort of things you might carry, a waterproof flashlight can be very important. I have my waterproof match container with signal and compass. Inexpensive lightsabers, such as this one made in Taiwan, can also be very helpful in an urban environment where dangerous minorities and other people may threaten you, as you can see. Well, there are other things, but alright, well, we'll get to them later. Okay, fine. Most important, the UFO Eye Knight will project a UFO Eye Knight don't fuck with me aura, and that can head off a lot of these problems to begin with. And, but he will seek out mysterious and worthy strangers. He will watch his back. Will avoid the third rail. Will avoid bad drugs. Will avoid underground canals or labyrinths that are flooded with toxic chemicals. Will avoid dimly lit confined areas frequented by giant cockroaches. Will not excessively provoke large dangerous minorities unless necessary. The UFO Eye Knight will treat people as individuals. The UFO Eye Knight will keep an eye out for all psionic, auric, androgynous, prophetic, apocalyptic, synchronous, or symbolic phenomenon. The UFO Eye Knight will ignore those who tell synchronicity jokes and will be alertly attuned to all possible synchronicities. The UFO Eye Knight will study the writings of Carl Jung, but not to excess. The UFO Eye Knight will think of Frank Sinatra, Ed McMahon, Bob Hope, Mickey Rooney, and George Burns with infinite contempt. The UFO Eye Knight should be aware of the litany against fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. The UFO Eye Knight will not delay going to a movie because something more important, in quotes, needs to be done. The UFO Eye Knight's special lucky number is 44. The UFO Eye Knight will try to make 44 the first thing he says each morning. The UFO Eye Knight will try to write great prophetic literature, create great art, or otherwise be of service to mankind. The UFO Eye Knight will try to avoid doing things on credit. The UFO Eye Knight will try to look cool and unique without attracting excessive attention to himself. And although I'm always using the masculine pronoun, it's because there really is no androgynous or neuter pronoun in the English language, and understand that even women can be, and children, can be members of the UFO Eye Knight religion. And even non-humans on occasion. The UFO Eye Knight will remember that all that is gold does not glitter, not all those that wander are lost. The UFO Eye Knight will keep in mind that the existence of one white crow disproves the notion that all crows are black. The UFO Eye Knight will ask not what his religion can do for him, rather he will ask what he can do for his religion. Very important. The UFO Eye Knight will consider that the mind of man is capable of anything because everything is in it, all the past as well as all the future. The UFO Eye Knight will keep in mind that an advance always begins with individuation, that is to say, with the individual conscious of his isolation, cutting a new path through hitherto untrodden territory. The UFO Eye Knight will expect to have his ups and downs and will not count on every day being the 4th of July. The UFO Eye Knight will memorize the poem The Wayfarer by Stephen Crane. The wayfarer, perceiving the pathway to truth, was struck with astonishment. It was thickly grown with weeds. "Ha," he says, "I see no one has traveled here in a long way." Later he notices that each weed is a singular knife. "Well," he mumbled at last, "doubtless there are other paths." That's a bad attitude. The UFO Eye Knight will wear dark sunglasses, more practical when exposed to bright fluorescent lights. The UFO Eye Knight will keep in mind that when a pickpocket sees a UFO Eye Knight, he sees only his pockets. The UFO Eye Knight will keep in mind that personal autonomy is a prime tenet for the UFO Eye Knight. He takes personal responsibility for all his actions and doesn't allow anything, even particular aspects of his religion, to interfere with his true relationship with the infinite. The UFO Eye Knight will never use the Force to show off to friends. The UFO Eye Knight does not interfere with the natural development of alien civilizations. The UFO Eye Knight will not allow himself to be infected by dangerous alien growths of the parasitic burst from the abdomen type as seen in the movie The Alien. The UFO Eye Knight will be very suspicious of any theory of contemporary events that links the Kennedy assassination with ancient astronauts. UFO Eye Knight will keep this quote in mind. If it can just be found. What a piece of work is man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculties, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action how like an angel, in apprehension how like a god, the beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, and yet to me what is this quintessence of dust? Okay, the UFO Eye Knight will develop his or her own trail mix and carry it with him so you can avoid greasy takeout foods, as you see that I do. This contains a healthy trail mix that I've designed for myself. This type of thing is to be avoided at all costs. Okay. Okay, and so forth. The UFO Eye Knight is always honest and speaks the truth even when he must lie. The UFO Eye Knight will be a vegetarian, but without passing judgment on those whose evil parasitic desires cause them like detestable lice to feed on the dead flesh of other living things. The UFO Eye Knight will keep going. The UFO Eye Knight will obey all of the above, all that has preceded this on this videotape, and all that's to follow, and on any other subsequent tapes. The UFO Eye Knight will consider it his duty to defend and uphold any and all world government federations headed by Jonathan Zap, that's me, and refuse to recognize the authority of any other world organizations. The UFO Eye Knight will realize that sexuality is an amorphous matrix and pervasive force and not cave into social pressure to limit, restrict, or repress it. Though I want to add to this, and it's very important to stress that this religion is a thing in movement as the universe is in flux, and any religion that remains static or dogmatic must immediately be disregarded. So much has changed even as these tenets were written. Remember that sexuality can also become a painful addiction. It should not be allowed to become the thing ruling your life. This religion is, after all, for people who are pursuing the path of consciousness and not simply a sexual fate. Okay, the UFO Eye Knight will hold lotteries and other opiates of the people in contempt. The UFO Eye Knight will be an organized and effective evolutionary strike force. The UFO Eye Knight will never buy a Rolex wristwatch or waste money on any other such useless patriarchal dildo. The UFO Eye Knight may look to 7th degree global master UFO Eye Knight Jonathan Zap, that's myself, as an example and can expect him to follow the tenets of his own religion. The UFO Eye Knight will keep in mind that catastrophic events could cause Homo sapiens' latent capacity for a new means of consciousness, communication and consciousness to emerge, and will be willing to serve as a catalyst in this process. The UFO Eye Knight will carefully monitor world affairs to be on guard for a world economic collapse and the emergence of an Antichrist. The UFO Eye Knight will not allow himself to be taken in by the raging narcissism in our society, nor will he fail to recognize that the narcissistic is not without value. That is to say, he will at least recognize that it's part of human nature and not judge it, but that it is an enslaving and unfortunate thing in most cases. The UFO Eye Knight may consult the I Ching when necessary. The UFO Eye Knight will avoid junk foods, any canned foods containing pork rinds, pigeon fat, or cow lips. The UFO Eye Knight will carefully read and evaluate the ingredients of any commercially produced food product he may purchase. The UFO Eye Knight should try to go on a camping trip at least once a year and would also be encouraged to go on such outdoor programs as Outdoor Bound and so forth. The UFO Eye Knight should try to keep Friday night as a night off. When the UFO Eye Knight finds that a certain pattern of behavior or way of thinking never seems to produce the desired results, he will try something else. Very important. When the UFO Eye Knight comes to a wall, he will accept it as a necessary structural part of a labyrinth and not as a resting place or terminal obstacle. The UFO Eye Knight is a good friend to his friends, doesn't lie to them, and pays back all money owed. The UFO Eye Knight will not object to being contacted at any time of the day or night, either by psionic projection or telephone, by any other UFO Eye Knight or friend who needs to communicate. The UFO Eye Knight will keep going during dull, dreary, dark, turbulent, or anxious periods, and realize that these often serve a purpose, are often out of his control, and usually are often end of their own accord, and are an unavoidable part of his journey in any case. The UFO Eye Knight never picks his nose and eats it. The UFO Eye Knight avoids becoming possessed with any particular material object or the desire to acquire such an object, and remembers that all objects may be separated from him. And the UFO Eye Knight, above all, should keep in mind that searching for material pleasure leads to islands of contentment in an overall sea of restlessness, and that it really is a form of bondage. Okay, the UFO Eye Knight understands that no one belongs to anyone else, that we are all on loan to each other, and that our stay on this planet is only temporary. The UFO Eye Knight understands that the small daily efforts are of great importance, and that what he is doing right now defines what he is. If the UFO Eye Knight should adopt a cat, he will be careful to take good care of it, to feed it low-ash food and otherwise look after its health and welfare. Certain qualified cats can be considered auxiliary UFO Eye Knights and can be expected to follow those tenets relevant and applicable to their species. The UFO Eye Knight must be aware of his self-destructive tendencies and keep them under control. The UFO Eye Knight must be aware that the psyche, this is a tragic thing about human nature, often prefers, is conservative in nature and often prefers old self-destructive neurotic patterns to the unknown. And the UFO Eye Knight must have the insight and determination to break those patterns, particularly those transmitted by parents and early childhood situations. The UFO Eye Knight should keep in mind that in the event of an afterlife, that a UFO Eye Knight could be no more denied access to heaven than a camel able to pass through the eye of a needle. The UFO Eye Knight should be able to touch tech. The UFO Eye Knight will strive not to be self-destructive in his personal finances. The UFO Eye Knight will realize that being organized is often the best way to free one from trivial drudgery. The UFO Eye Knight will not allow self-discipline, being organized, etc. to become a cult of self-torture. After all, no spiritual advantage is gained by self-violence. The UFO Eye Knight should avoid dying. The UFO Eye Knight should be aware that carrying a weapon is a potentially very bad karma that may rebound on himself. If the UFO Eye Knight carries a weapon, he must be sure that the weapon stands for a realistic acknowledgement of the dangers of the world, and that it is not a solid symbol of the desire to use such a weapon. I carry various weapons, mostly for effect. Okay? They really don't do anything. Okay? You can scare somebody off, and you don't even have to put it on stun, and, you know. Okay. The UFO Eye Knight must not materialistically associate the altered state of consciousness triggered by a drug with the drug itself. Drug experiences should be viewed as occasions to experience states of consciousness that the UFO Eye Knight can eventually achieve and transcend without artificial means, and the use of meditation is highly recommended. 20 minutes twice a day is enough to start, and I recommend there are several excellent books on meditation. For example, this one. But basically, the techniques for meditation are pretty much universally known. Okay. The UFO Eye Knight should keep in mind that nowhere does the law of karma play itself out more ruthlessly than with what he does with his body. That not only is there truth to the old saw, you are what you eat, but also that you eat because of what you are, and the UFO Eye Knight makes sure that what he eats reflects what he really is. UFO Eye Knight remembers that more food may mean less life, and more exercise, more life, even on the daily basis. Okay, the UFO Eye Knight should be aware of the Teen Creed. The Teen Creed goes as follows. Don't let your parents down, they brought you up. Be humble enough to obey. You may give orders someday. Choose companions with care, you become what they are. Guard your thoughts, what you think you are. Choose only a date who would make a good mate. Be master of your habits or they will master you. Don't be a show-off when you drive. Drive with safety and arrive. Don't let the crowd pressure you. Stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And the UFO Eye Knight may ignore the Teen Creed. Okay. The UFO Eye Knight should be aware of the following modified aphorisms from the yoga aphorisms of Patanjali, which are highly recommended reading, by the way. Okay. To be a UFO Eye Knight, you have to have energy. For without energy, you cannot follow any kind of instructions day after day and really test their value. If there's any sin, it's laziness. As we have seen in discussing, well, luckily for us, energy is like a muscle. It grows stronger through being used. It's a very simple and obvious yet perpetually amazing truth. Every creative artist knows those days of apparently blank stupidity and lack of inspiration which he has to force himself to work. And then suddenly, after hours of toiling, the effort is rewarded. Ideas and enthusiasm begin to flow into him. In all our undertakings, the little daily effort is all important. The muscles of our energy must be continually exercised. Thus gradually we gain momentum and purpose. Okay, when someone starts out with the religion of UFO Eye Knight, there's a natural, elated, kind of euphoric mood. But keep in mind, this mood will not continue uninterrupted throughout the rest of one's path as a UFO Eye Knight. The UFO Eye Knight religion is not simply a state of euphoria. There will be relapses, phases of struggle, dryness, and doubt, but these ought not to distress one unduly. Conscious feelings, however exalted, are not the only indications of spiritual progress. We may be growing most strongly at a time when our minds seem dark and dull. So we should never listen to the promptings of sloth, which will try to persuade us that this dullness is a sign of failure. There is no failure as long as we continue to make an effort. The UFO Eye Knight must also learn to practice indifference toward the hurts he may receive from others. He must go behind the wickedness of the wicked and try to understand what makes them treat him in that way. Very often we shall discover that we ourselves are partly to blame for their attitude. The relationship between the aggressor and his victim, the murderer and the murdered, is not always one of simple guilt and innocence. It may be very complex. There may be provocation on both sides. The UFO Eye Knight should keep in mind that the materialists, who are more profoundly living in a world of illusion than any of us are, those who describe themselves as being down to earth, are the ones who are living in an unreal world because they limit themselves to the level of gross sense perception. But the perception of the illuminated UFO Eye Knight ranges over the whole scale, from gross to subtle, and from subtle to absolute, and is only he who knows what the nature of this universe actually is. The UFO Eye Knight learns to regard his sins, transgressions, relapses, and so forth with a certain scientific detachment, which avoids the two extremes of lazy tolerance and futile disgust. The surgeon does not tolerate a cancer, he cuts it out, but he does not shrink from it in horror either. He studies it. He tries to understand how it has grown and how the growth of a new cancer can be prevented. We do not sin, relapse, transgress, and so forth through pure wickedness or sheer moral idiocy. Our sins have a meaning and a purpose which we shall have to understand before we can hope to stop repeating them. They are in fact symptoms of the pain of alienation from our real nature as a UFO Eye Knight. They're attempts to reunite ourselves with that nature, but such attempts are hopelessly misdirected because they take as their starting point the ignorance of egoism. They are bound to lead us farther and farther away from reality. And I have one further quote. The UFO Eye Knight, above all, learns to regard his life as a perpetual search for meaning. But he also learns to live in the present and not to dwell in the past or the future. Though as a man of consciousness, he may find that his mind tends to dwell in the past. But he will regard his life as a perpetual search for meaning and exercise in discrimination between the real and the unreal. In that spirit, he shall welcome all kinds of experience, both pleasant and painful, and realize that they will never harm him if taken in that spirit. Hopefully. For the truth lies hidden everywhere, within every experience and every object of the universe. Everything that happens to us, no matter how seemingly trivial throughout the day, offers some tiny clue which could lead us toward wider spiritual knowledge and eventual liberation. Okay. The UFO Eye Knight should be aware of this poem. The road goes ever on and on, down from the door where it began. Now far ahead the road has gone, and I must follow if I can, pursuing it with weary feet until it joins some larger way, where many paths and errands and UFO Eye Knights meet. And whither then, I cannot say. The UFO Eye Knight should be aware of the official rap poem of the UFO Eye Knight, and that's printed on the UFO Eye Knight ID card, which every member receives this attractive ID card, golden embossed. It's a $5.95 value, but it comes free with the religion. And let me just read you the official rap poem as it's quoted here. We are the religion called UFO Eye Knight. We try to keep peace and we do not fight. We're short on money, keep our wallet tight. We're the religion God said is right. UFO Eye Knight, the religion with finesse. If you come to our galaxy, you'll find out we're the best. We're the religion that could never fess. We have the children you would like to molest. Okay. It's printed on the UFO Eye Knight ID card, which every member receives this attractive ID card, golden embossed. It's a $5.95 value, but it comes free with the religion. And let me just read you the official rap poem as it's quoted here. We are the religion called UFO Eye Knight. We try to keep peace and we do not fight. We're short on money, keep our wallet tight. We're the religion God said is right. UFO Eye Knight, the religion with finesse. If you come to our galaxy, you'll find out we're the best. We're the religion that could never fess. We have the children you would like to molest.
Okay, John.
But if you...
The music just stopped.
The music has really sucked. I had no idea it was going to be so bad.
Okay, then you want to do this whole part over again without the music, with you holding the card.
Okay.
Just read this part. Just start reading again, the back of it. That's all you have to do. I can't turn it up and turn it on because the battery's very low.
Okay.
And it'll stop.
Okay, this is the official poem, rap poem of the UFO Eye Knight, and it should be memorized, I think. We are the religion called UFO, and I just want to say something to those people watching this tape. I'm really glad that that insipid elevator music turned off. I had no idea. It started out good. I had no idea it was going to get like that. Please don't accept that as anything to do with the tone of this religion. Once again, I apologize for the music. Okay, this is the official poem of the UFO Eye Knight. Please memorize it. We are the religion called UFO Eye Knight. We try to keep peace and we do not fight. We're short on money, keep our wallet tight. We're the religion God said is right. UFO Eye Knight, the religion with finesse. If you come to our galaxy, you will find out we're the best. We're the religion that could never fess. We have the children you would like to molest. But if you do, and if we see, we'll kick you out of our galaxy. Okay, and again, the UFO Eye Knight attractive ID card bearing the official world logo of the UFO Eye Knight religion, and golden embossed with your name, is yours free, just $10. If you become a member of the religion. And the $10 is just to cover costs and handling. Okay. I have some more important documents here if I can find it. There is the UFO Eye Knight chart of development. I won't go through all the different hierarchy and so on. The highest level reached so far is 7th degree Global Master UFO Eye Knight. Though the highest level would be at 7th degree Trans-Universe Master, and no one's reached that as yet. There are some other things I want to point out. The religion is in a state of flux, as the universe is in a state of flux. It changes all the time. None of it is frozen in concrete or any other such hard substance. Things that I've realized in the time that most of the aphorisms were written down include, well, especially the idea of reality being pretty much an illusion. Everything that we see, all the material objects around us, are really sort of congealed numbers or patterns. And don't take them too seriously. You may suddenly be surprised, especially when you begin to experience altered states of consciousness. Don't take your own personality too seriously. After all, your personality is really a kind of a topographical accretion of idiosyncrasies. Please don't turn me into a negative. Thank you so much. It's kind of a topographical accretion of personal idiosyncrasies, and it's kind of arbitrary. It's not your real nature. Your real nature is kind of universal. Keep in mind that your internal world, externality, the physical universe, the rest of the cosmos, is really a continuous fluid. It's our mind is programmed to see these things as distinct, but they're really not. Each of us is kind of like a little painful blister in that fluid that says, I am alone, but eventually the bubble rises to the top of the water and bursts, and the illusion of isolation ends. But keep in mind that it's a very potent, powerful, and painful illusion for many, and do try and talk them out of it. Remember that service to others is crucial to this religion. It's not a self-help religion or something to make you go out to California and play with VCR equipment and just go into your own thing. It is so that you will be able, with consciousness, to be of service to the collective of which you are a part. Meditation, again, important. Detachment, learning to do things with detachment. That doesn't mean indifference, but you should be detached and not in some kind of fever when you do things. Try not to get caught up into bondage of pursuing pleasure and fleeing pain, because your life will be, an endless stream of restlessness and misery. Finally, I do want to point out that recent studies have found that radiation that leaks out of VCR equipment can cause, well, there are many common, usually harmless parasites, intestinal parasites, but this radiation can cause giant mutation formations of these common intestinal parasites, and this may result in a painful condition in which these parasites may travel up your spinal cord, laying eggs in your brain, and this can cause severe cerebral swelling and hemorrhaging, brain damage, especially when the parasites reach the tertiary larva stage, and can even cause bursting of the skull wall. And that's about all I have to say for now. 44.
Skull wall and go back to the sign.
Okay, let me get that sign down.
You're not copying Spock's sign.
No, I'm doing a double.
Just do the last sentence where you said skull wall, because I laughed.
Okay. Well, I just want to further point out that recent studies have shown that VCR equipment does leak certain radiations, and there are usually benign intestinal parasites that live in your intestinal tract, and this radiation can cause giant mutation formations, causing these parasites causing a very painful condition in which these parasites may travel up your spinal cord and laying eggs in your brain, and this can cause severe cerebral swelling and hemorrhaging, possible brain damage, and especially if the parasites reach the tertiary larva stage, it can cause an actual bursting of the skull wall. And so I do want to caution you about that. And that's about all I have to say right now. So I'll just 44. Relax, relax.
Put your hands up again.
44. Relax, relax. I'm putting my hands up again. 44. 44. You see how reality is an illusion? All this time I've been a Negro, and you thought that I was white because we had everything reversed.
Okay, John, that's enough.